Horst, meteorologist at Millersville University. Good afternoon, Eric. How are you?
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Good. Before we get started, obviously we're going to be talking about the storm that's headed our way. If any viewers out there want to tweet questions to us, our handle is @LancasterOnline. Eric, how do we get your forecasts online, and what's your Twitter handle?
Right. Well, the Millersville Weather Information Center website is a treasure trove of weather information related to the Lancaster area. The easiest way to find us is to just Google Millersville Weather Center, and that'll bring you right into our homepage.
Okay.
In terms of Twitter, the handle is MU Weather.
Okay, good. Thanks. So this morning's paper, we talk about the forecast for tomorrow's storm, and you were forecasting at the time 3 to 6 inches of snow falling across most of the county on Wednesday. Has anything changed? What's the latest?
Yeah, nothing has changed. The storm is just coming together now. Up to this point, there's been kind of two separate parts to the storm, one coming from the northern plains, the other coming from the Mississippi Valley, and they're just beginning to come together right now. It's going to be over the next 12 hours that this system really takes off, and heavy snow will break out over West Virginia tonight, and then that's what moves in here to tomorrow. So, of course, I'm very interested to see how things will come together over the next 12 hours. That's going to be really the key to the outcome here in Lancaster. Overall, though, my forecast has not changed. 3 to 6 inches, the best forecast for the central part of Lancaster County. As we've talked in previous days or published in the paper and in the website, this storm, the setup is one that generally gives a very sharp gradient from north to south.
Okay.
So the farther north you live in Pennsylvania, the less snow you'll see. Even across Lancaster County, there will likely be a difference in snowfall from north to south, it's kind of the reverse of what is usual. Typically, the northern regions do better. Well, in this case, with it being a southern storm, if you're in southern Lancaster County, especially on the hills of southern Lancaster County, that is where the highest snowfall totals may come in. And I'll tell you one thing, Tom, these March storms tend to be most prolific across the high terrain,
Okay.
where elevation makes the atmosphere, you're a little cooler at the ground level if you're at, say, 800 feet down around Rollinsville or down near the Buck, than if you're in Lancaster City at only 300 feet above sea level. So I think those high spots in southern Lancaster County, Holtwood, the Buck, again, those areas, maybe some place comes in with 10 or 12 inches. I think that's the exception, not the rule.
Right. Okay, so talk a little bit in more detail about the timing of the storm. When's it going to start? When's the heaviest of the snow going to fall? And when's it going to wrap up?
You bet. Well, I think we'll see snow moving in on radar over our heads around midnight. Now, it won't get to the ground. It typically takes a couple hours to get from the clouds down to the ground. So 2 or 3 a.m., I think we see first flakes moving in. The snow will arrive from southwest to northeast across the county. I think by daybreak, there should be about 1 inch of snow that has fallen. And then, the period of steadiest and perhaps heaviest snow will be from around 7 or 8 a.m. into the early afternoon hours. That's when it could come down, at times maybe 1 inch an hour. Now, again, the ground temperature is right around freezing,
Right.
and that's kind of one of the wild cards is, how warm, just what the temperature is at your house or at your neighborhood will determine what sticks to the roads and what sticks to the grass.
Okay. For all the school kids who might be out there watching or watching later on, is this sort of a slam dunk for superintendents? Are kids pretty much going to be off school tomorrow?
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Well, I mean, given I don't think there's been any snow days locally this winter, so this is the one that probably will do it for them. And maybe just because of the forecast, the forecast of 3 to 6 inches, potential for 10 on the higher terrain in southern Lancaster County, that might be enough to scare a lot of superintendents into closing, even though at daybreak there might not be more than, say, 1 inch of snow on the roads. So yeah, I think a lot of schools will probably take the prudent approach and perhaps cancel classes tomorrow.
Yeah, that raises my next question. When is the last time we've had a storm of this magnitude? I know certainly this does not rank in one of the top
Right.
10 snowstorms, but when's the last time we've actually had a measurable snowstorm like this?
Right. Well, of course, last winter was really a dud because of the La Nina, and this winter we've only had a few small events. So you have to go back really to that October 29 storm from, well, I guess it would have been the beginning of last winter. And about 4.5 inches fell at Millersville from that storm. A few of the high spots around the county got around 6 inches.
Right.
And that was kind of a flukish event, obviously, being in late October. The last winter storm, you have to go back to previous January. We had around 11 inches of snow, January of 2011. And then the winter before, we had the 3 big storms.
Right.
You know, that was our real doozy of a winter. So we're kind of due here for a decent snow. And by the way, just at about noontime today, the National Weather Service pushed Lancaster County from being in a winter storm watch to a winter storm warning. So when they do that, that's a sign that the Weather Service, those forecasters agree with what we're seeing, that, you know, there's a pretty good storm in the way.
Okay. Talk a little bit about after the storm moves through. What are the temperatures going to be like? How long is this, the snow going to be sticking around?
Right. Right. Well, the steady snow should taper off overnight Wednesday night, taper off to kind of some flurries, even by Thursday morning, maybe a mix of flurries and drizzle. So I do not expect any accumulating snow on Thursday. It's all done by daybreak, but it will be a windy, cool day, temperatures in the upper 30s. Like I said, some flurries or sprinkles, drizzle on Thursday. Friday, we see the sun return. We get into the low to maybe even mid-40s on Thursday. And believe it or not, by late in the weekend, by Sunday, I think we could hit 50, maybe even 55 next Monday. So, wow. You know, the snow won't last. It never does when it snows in March. This is, you know, pretty much classic March weather, where it's, you know, kind of bipolar almost.
Right.
So I should add, you know, this is a big time storm for parts of northern Virginia, central Maryland, right along the Mason-Dixon line. Many places are going to get a foot or more of snow, maybe in the northern Blue Ridge Mountains, maybe 18 or 24 inches in a few spots. So even though we're not going to get clobbered, some spots will. Right.
Looking out a little more long term, do you think this is it for the winter, or do we still have that sort of remote chance of one more storm yet?
Yeah, well, this is probably it. There is a lot of blocking over the North Atlantic. These type of blocking patterns late in a winter season do tend to hold cold air in over eastern Canada, and if it's in eastern Canada, it can easily drop down in here. So even though we're going to warm up early next week, we're going to see cool air return, but it might lead us down the path of kind of late March and early April showers, right, versus another significant snowstorm. This is probably it for the winter.
Okay. So if you're a snow lover, really get out there tomorrow and savor this last one.
This is the last-ditch effort. If this one misses or something goes wrong, then we're probably pretty much done for the winter.
Yeah. Okay. So just to recap once again, 3 to 6 in most parts of the county, less
right,
north, possibly more south.
Right. Higher terrain. If you live on a hilltop, you will probably do better than your neighbors in the valley. A few hundred feet can make a remarkable difference in a storm like this. You know, a place like out towards Gettysburg, South Mountain, along the Adams-Franklin County border, where that's actually about 2,000 feet above sea level, I think a foot or more of snow is a slam dunk on South Mountain.
Okay. Eric Horst, meteorologist at Millersville University, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, and talk to you soon.
Okay, see you, Tom.
Take care. Bye.